Hi, this is Kamera. My first few minutes with God, day number 265, Zechariah chapter 8 through 14. 7 chapters. God gives Zechariah a message where he expresses his great love and passion for Mount Zion and Jerusalem, which he says will be called the faithful city. God says he will live there. Old men and women will once again walk the streets and they will gather together in the city square. Boys and girls will be at play. God says, I will bring my people home again. They will be my people and I will be faithful and just to them as their God. God says, be strong and finish the task. God says, I am planting seeds of peace and prosperity among you. But he says, among other nations, Judah and Jerusalem, they became symbols of a cursed nation. But no longer. I will rescue you and make you a symbol and source of blessings. God says, don't be afraid, be strong. Get on with rebuilding the temple. You must be truthful, just, and you must be a person who lead to peace and not discord. You must be honest. The Lord, he hates lies. He hates deceit, the schemes and discord. People from nations and cities around the world will be traveling to Jerusalem for God's blessing, saying, we heard God is with you. A message again against Aram and the city of Damascus. God says doom is certain. And he goes through some of the cities and pretty much said what's going to happen. For instance, he's going to strip away Tyrus's possessions. Gaza king will be killed. Ashkelon will be deserted. Philistines' pride will be destroyed. Isn't that something? He says they will start to serve God. They will start to worship God. Isn't that something? They will become like a clan of Judah. God says he is watching closely. Foreign oppressors will never again overrun his people's land. He says, rejoice and shout and triumph. He says, your king is coming. He is righteous and victorious. He is humble and riding on a donkey's colt. Many promises. He talks about many promises that he gives many promises. For example, God says, I will repay 2 blessings for each of your troubles. God says he will strengthen and restore Judah and Jerusalem because of his compassion. God says, by my power, I will make my people strong, and by my authority, they will go wherever they wish. Then there's this message about a shepherd, flocks, and staffs that are called favor and union. This illustrates how God will give this nation a shepherd who will not care for who, or actually they'll be neglecting. Neglecting the sheep. Isn't that something? Neglecting the flock. Well, sorrow awaits the worthless shepherd who abandons the flock. God says, I will make Jerusalem an unmovable rock. Immovable rock? All nations would gather against it to try to move it, but they will only hurt themselves. God says he will give victory to the rest of Judah before Jerusalem, so that the people of Jerusalem and the royal line of David will not have greater honor than the rest of Judah. He says the weakest among them will be as mighty as King David. Scripture talks about mourning throughout Israel as if a firstborn had died. It's going to be like a fountain of cleansing that will cleanse them from all their sins and impurities. Isn't that something? And it would be open for the dynasty of David and the people of Jerusalem. An open fountain of, wow. Idol worship and idol names will be erased, forgotten, and false prophets and spirit of impurity will be removed. No one will pretend to be a prophet. If they do, their parents will be killed. God says 2/3 of the people of the Lord will be cut off, and 1/3 will be left in the land. Yeah. They will be purified, and he will call on my name, God says. I will answer, these are my people, and they will say, the Lord is our God. The day of the Lord is coming. Nations will fight against Jerusalem, cities taken, houses looted, women raped. Half of the population will be taken into captivity, and the rest left among the ruins of the city. The Lord will fight against these nations. Mountains will move. The Lord will come, and his holy ones will be with him. The Lord will be king over the earth. One Lord. Jerusalem will be filled, never to be cursed, and never destroyed ever again. The Lord will send a plague on all the nations that fought against Jerusalem. Those who survived the plague will worship the king in Jerusalem every year. If they don't, they will be punished. So guys, that was 7 chapters. 7 chapters. So there you have it. That's day number 265, Zechariah chapter 8 through 14. You have a God-filled blessed day.